Yesterday, ripples and shockwaves went through the world of sports as the PGA announced a merger that would see them join with the rival league LIV Golf.
Taylor McKee is an assistant professor at Brock University in the Department of Sport Management and joins us live now. Taylor, this was just I don't think anybody saw this coming unless you were involved in these discussions. This kind of came out of nowhere, blindsiding players as well. What do you see this doing to the PGA's brand after the PGA and Jay Monahan were just so against LIV? The rhetoric was so fierce.
Well, the PGA has a lot of explaining to do to a lot of its key stakeholders, that's for sure. And chief among them are some of the players that were promised certain protections or perhaps even stood in front of microphones defending the PGA Tour. You think of one of the world's most famous players, Rory McIlroy, who a year ago today, or not today, but this week, after winning the Canadian Open, staunchly defended the PGA Tour and said the LIV Golf is essentially just a big money grab. Well, perhaps now that money grab has come to the PGA, because this is not simply just the PGA swallowing up LIV Golf. And I think it's important that sports fans understand this is a partnership arrangement.
Exactly. Both sides are very much involved in this. And, you know, we can't ignore the obvious, which is the players that defected to LIV Golf. Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson, they're probably clapping themselves on the back right now because they walked away with a lot of money. And even though they were kind of vilified, they get to come back to the PGA and all's kind of hunky-dory, back to square one. So what do you make of what happens in terms of the existing PGA golfers like Rory McIlroy, who stood firm, you know, alongside their moral issues and said, we're not leaving the PGA? What happens on the players' side now, you think?
What an excellent question. I think the PGA is furiously trying to figure out right now what to do. And I think that there is a really important detail here, that there is no players union. There is no sort of essentially board that the players represent each other. They're all independent contractors. It's what made the PGA Tour such a ripe target for an organization like LIV Golf to challenge, because each of these individuals can be picked off one by one. So you look now and think to yourself, the PGA has to make this right with these players, because you're absolutely correct. Players like Brooks Koepka, who went to LIV Golf, pocketed tens of millions of dollars from LIV Golf, and now are going to be welcomed back into the flock at the Masters, at all the other majors like they were before, but also now get to perform on tour events with essentially no consequences.
Yeah, and Taylor, you point out this is a partnership, not the PGA swallowing up LIV Golf. So the LIV Golf Association will sort of forever stick around there. And so much of LIV Golf, what people have talked about is that LIV Golf is kind of sport washing, as it were, the reputation of the Saudi regime, Saudi government, etc. What do you make of that this sort of sport washing now does not go away? It continues, and the PGA is part of it.
Perhaps this is what makes this story one of I think the landmark sports stories of the past decade or so. I mean, this is ostensibly a capitulation to the concept of sport washing. I mean, there have been other examples of, say, perhaps unsavory money entering into professional sports across the globe, absolutely, but we've never seen an organization like the PIF in Saudi Arabia, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, take such an active ownership role in a North American professional sports league like this. So perhaps this is the signal that this is essentially the start of similar arrangements. You could see this happen perhaps in tennis, perhaps in Formula One. We've seen individual team ownership come under these questions before. But partnerships with the league itself ostensibly says, look, we are open to doing business with whomever has the deepest bank accounts.
It is just a stunning turn of events. Taylor McKee, thanks so much for helping us sort of understand this a little bit better this morning. Assistant professor at Brock University's Department of Sport Management. Again, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Thank you.